Hi everyone. Today we're talking about empathy and reflecting feelings. So some of you started to do this last week, automatically starting to pick up what people are saying in terms of their feelings and emotions. So today I'm going to talk about how to do that in a systematic way. So just to start off with, just a little video.
So what is empathy and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, you climb down. I know what it's like down here and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
So hopefully you enjoyed that little clip. That was Brene Brown. She's done some really good, interesting research on vulnerability and shame that's informed the counselling and psychotherapy field. And she makes a really good point about the difference between sympathy and empathy. So sympathy kind of fuels a disconnection or feeling misunderstood, whereas empathy helps people feel like they've been heard and they're understood. And the other good point she makes is about silver lining. So it's a bit of a tendency to try and make someone feel better by saying, well, at least, you know, at least you might have lost one foot, but you've got the other foot, you know, that kind of thing. But that's denying the reality of someone's experience. So we want to make sure that we're responding to what people are feeling and experiencing, rather than telling them that they should feel grateful that not everything is crap. All right, so on to the next slide. So just to make the distinction between the difference of paraphrasing and reflection of feelings. So paraphrasing, what you did last week in the tutorial, is about reflecting back the content and clarifying the content of what the client's saying. So that's just the details, not so much the feelings. Whereas reflection of feelings focuses on the emotion and helps the client clarify how they're feeling about something and make it more explicit and clear, and helps them express that as well. So the purpose of reflection of feeling is that when we can reflect what we are picking up the client is feeling, the client is better able to experience that feeling, because it kind of gives them permission to feel that way and to understand why they feel that way as well, which can be really relieving for people. It also enables people to talk more in depth about how they're feeling. And we know that that certainly helps distress as well when people are able to talk about how they're feeling. When we reflect feelings, we still want to maintain that level of not knowing. So we want to be tentative about our reflection of feeling, so the client can correct you. I'm not feeling down, I'm more feeling angry about it. So we want to leave the door open for the client to correct us. And in addition, clients' understandings of their feelings helps calm their emotional system. It helps them understand why they're feeling the way they are, and helps them make a plan as to how they can improve their situation. So this is an example of how we might do a reflection of feeling. My dad drank a lot when I was growing up, but it didn't bother me so much until now. But I was just home and it really hurts to see what Dad's starting to do to my mum. She's awful quiet, you know. Why she takes so much, I don't know. But like I was saying, Mum and I were sitting there one night drinking coffee, and he came in, stumbled over the doorstep, and then he got angry. He started to hit my mother and I stopped him. I almost hit him myself. I was so angry. I worry about Mum. All right, so if we were going to do a reflection of content, so a paraphrase as we did last week, you'd want to be reflecting back the content and the details of what Thomas is saying. So, you know, the fact that his father drinks, the fact that his mother is quiet, and that it's difficult when he was last home. So that will indicate that you've heard what he said. Thomas, I hear you saying that your father has been drinking a long time and your mother puts up with a lot, but now he started to be violent and you've been tempted to hit him yourself. Have I heard you right? So you're focusing on what's happening and understanding the whole situation. But if we're going to move on to a reflection of feeling, the first task is to think about the key emotional words used by the client. So he's used really hurts, angry, and worry. So that gives you a very strong clue as to how he's feeling. He's made them explicit. And clients don't always do that. So basic feelings would be, to reflect would be, it really hurts, you felt angry, or you're feeling worried. So that includes his exact words. So another example would be, I thought that we were going to spend the rest of our lives together. Larry was so special to me, then it all ended. You cared about him so much and together you had so many plans. He's gone and it hurts deeply. I have such a huge void in my life. I know that I will never find someone like him again. It's so painful. Somehow you feel that things will never be as good for you without Larry, and this leaves you with a deep sadness. So you can see that these reflections of the way that the person's feeling can contribute to them feeling understood. And then another session. When I bumped into Larry last week, he acted like he didn't even know me. We had 2 wonderful years together, and I thought that it would be forever. It sickens me that it meant nothing to him. You feel betrayed. You gave so much of yourself to the relationship that you thought was going to be for a lifetime. Now it seems to you that Larry's commitment was not that important to him. So she didn't say betrayed, but the counsellor was able to pick that up because of words like, it sickens me that it meant nothing to him. So as a first step in being able to reflect feelings, we need to increase our vocabulary a little bit around emotions and your ability to pick up what people are saying. So, for example, I wish I could talk to my dad about things like this, but I never seem to get up the nerve. You could respond, you're a little bit afraid of your dad. So what would happen, do you think, if you said you're terrified of your dad? Do you think that would be right? No, it wouldn't be the right intensity of emotion. And that's what we need to really concentrate on, is getting the right intensity of emotion. So this person seems like just a little bit afraid rather than terrified. So what about this one? I'm so angry at my roommate, I feel like killing her. So if you said something like, so you're a bit frustrated, the client wouldn't feel hurt. They wouldn't feel like you've got how angry they are. So something like you're furious might be a better fit. So these are some examples of different feelings and the different intensities that you can feel in the different categories. So someone who's feeling sad can go from feeling a bit dismayed, upset, heavy, to depressed, to desperate. So all these have a slightly different intensity and a slightly different flavour as well. And again, angry. So you can go from angry to furious, to raging, fed up, irritated, resentful, all slightly different. So we really need to listen carefully and try and figure out which one do you think it is, and try and draw on your own experience. And that can sometimes help you figure out what intensity is the right one. And here's another example of different words to use for different emotions and different intensities. So as you get closer into the middle, you find the intensity is much higher. So for example, rage is in the middle, anger, and then annoyance on the outside. So these are good little pictures to print off and just have when you're doing your practice sessions, in case you need to refer to them, in case you can't think of the name of the emotion that you want to reflect. So not all clients have a clear understanding of their feelings, and sometimes they feel a few different things. So they have mixed or conflicting emotions. So maybe they feel relieved but sad, for example. And so we want to try and reflect both of those feelings so the client can help sort through how they're feeling and the complexity of that. So basic emotions are generally universal, so anger and sadness and happiness and so on. But social emotions such as guilt and shame can be very much learnt from our community and our culture and our family members. So we also need to be aware of where an emotion is passed down through a cultural upbringing, or through community, or through peers or family as well. So by just telling someone, oh, well, you shouldn't feel guilty, it's not quite that easy, because they've been socialized to feel that way. So it can take some time to grapple with that feeling and whether it's useful for them. And so people, when they understand why they feel a certain way, they can be clearer about how they feel in the moment, which helps them cope in the moment. So most of the time, just a brief acknowledgement of feelings is more appropriate. So we don't want to overdo the reflection of feeling, because that can be kind of overwhelming for the client. So you want to just briefly state the feeling. So you seem to be sad about that, or it makes you happy, and then move on. You know, maybe do a paraphrase or use a question as we go along in our tutorials. But it's very important that we do acknowledge the feeling, but we don't spend too much time or too much intensity on it, particularly at the beginning of working with someone. With children, acknowledging their feelings can be really helpful, because often they don't have the words to put to something they're feeling, and often they're unaware of it. They just know that they just don't feel right, or they don't feel good in their body. So reflection can be overdone. So if we spend time saying, oh, you know, you feel so sad, you feel hopeless, you feel, you know, useless, all these kinds of things, that's only just going to intensify the way someone feels. If we just say, so it sounds like things have been getting you down lately, is probably more appropriate. Unspoken feelings can be useful to identify as well. So sometimes people might not say the feeling, but you pick it up from what they're telling you. And you can do that in an attentive way. So it sounds like it might be, sounds like you might feel a bit resentful about that, or it sounds like you feel ashamed, or it sounds like you feel sad about that. And, you know, is that right? So being tentative about it. So having a brief acknowledgement of feelings can lead to a deeper exploration of those feelings in later sessions, but we don't want to delve in there too deeply, too quickly, and overwhelm the client. So this is just a nice little picture that I like, and it kind of signifies empathy rather than sympathy. So the person's saying, what's wrong? I don't know. How can I help? I don't know. Okay, I made you a nest. Do you want to come? Okay. Does that help? Yes. Have you ever coming out? No. Okay, hang on. And he gets in the nest with him. So sometimes, you know, we can reflect back feelings, we can reflect back content, but just being with someone can be really powerful. And like Brene Brown said in her video, sometimes you don't know the correct words to say, but you just want to say, you know, thanks for telling me and I'm here with you, kind of thing. All right, so now I want you to have a look at the videos that I've posted on Blackboard that gives you some example sessions that you can have a look at. Now, the example sessions use skills that we haven't yet covered, so don't be concerned about that, but I want you to notice where there's a paraphrase of content and where there's a reflection of feeling, okay? All right, good luck everyone.